Good morning to everyone in Germany and good afternoon to our participants from India. A warm welcome to our webinar today that deals once again with restarting and the journey to recovery. I'm very happy that we have 3 panelists today, all representing German companies that are going to share their experiences on how to rethink and realign post-COVID. Before I introduce our panelists, I warmly welcome Dr. Jürgen Morhardt, our Consul General of the Federal Republic of Germany in Mumbai. We have been working very closely with Dr. Morhardt and his team, particularly during the past 3 months, and are always very grateful for his and the support of his team. I now request Dr. Morhardt to say a few opening remarks. Dr. Morhardt, please.
Thank you, Peter. I would like a special welcome to the panelists, Mr. Jürgen Wolf, Mr. Anand Srinivasan from Covestro, and Mr. Philip Mani from the Schmalz company. And I understand there are many members of the IGCC group are already online. So good morning, everybody, or better, good afternoon. And thank you very much for organizing this meeting. I think our Peter mentioned it now, meeting each other and working together jointly is, we do it much more closely and much more often and much more intense than in the past. But of course, it's also that's because of this situation we are all in. And I think it's important that we have exchanges in some formats with government officials. Then we have exchanges among like us today. But also I think it's very important that industries are having exchanges amongst themselves because you can only learn from each other. And we are now in a new phase. I think even that you are learning from each other is much more important because we have seen an unlock phase, at least in the area in Maharashtra and in the so-called green zones. Industries are back to work. We have sorted out more or less the access of the stuff to the companies. All the things have been getting much more easier. But of course, we have a perception gap, and the perception gap is also within your companies, it's between your headquarters, it's between us and our headquarters of the ministry in Germany, and it's between Germany and India. Because in Germany, things are getting normal. And those who are going back to normality forget how difficult it was and how many restrictions you had. And to make understand now Europe, which is opening up, even the travel restrictions within 29 states is going to be lifted end of this week. They forgot completely there is the rest of the world where this infection and pandemic is not over. And in the way they're communicating with us and asking us and are shaking their hands if we cannot deliver and that we said we are not open yet, makes things not very much easier in communications. And then, of course, we see also a gap in reality in India because every state has its own policy. And when you look now to the state, particularly for Maharashtra, the urban centers have more restrictions than the outside, which is causing for you, of course, a lot of problems. And also for us, it's very difficult to communicate that, sorry, without public transport or without secure public transport and still rising infection rate, the consulate is not going to open. Because for us, and I think also for your companies, to keep the staff healthy, right, and protect ourselves, the health of our own staff and ourselves is the #1 priority. And whatever, for example, even our German head office things, is just impossible for us because most of our staff lives far outside to go back to normality and provide the services as we are used to. And this, I understand, goes for many companies who have their headquarters and service industries inside a zone like Mumbai. Because with still rising infections rate opening up, or in theory, the way you can get infected probably is just rising. And so for the consulate, we still have this partial shutdown, work only in 2 shifts with minimum staff. I think the chamber is not in operation yet. And of course, our main business is traveling, visas. And this, of course, is also on hold. The European Union is going to extend its travel restrictions for visitors and travelers from third countries, also everything outside US until end of this month for the time being. Germany has issued, and European Union will follow until end of August, a travel warning. It's a strong advisory that all is mostly targeted for tourism, of course. But of course, we've just seen repatriation worldwide. Almost 1 million Germans had to be brought back. So the least what we want now is that Germans, for many purposes, might go out and fly out again to areas where we don't have secure flights back, where the pandemic is still there. Might not be enough or not a strong health system, and brings them in the same situation where we just try to repatriate because we don't have the means and also I think the resources to make this worldwide repatriation scheme twice. And we see it also from the other side. India itself has not finished its own repatriation scheme. Therefore, they are also still offering flights from all over. And at the moment, the only flight to India you can get is to be one of the Air India flights. So Air India flights basically is, I could say, because how many Indians are abroad, is also the only possibility where we could bring. Now it's the first time one of our diplomats back to Mumbai last night. There's a lot of problems. And we see, because this is normally for only Indian travelers, and we try our best also to offer service in the other direction with Lufthansa. This is not working satisfactorily, but because it's so-called non-commercial flights, which is restricted to certain people only, which means that it's not open for general travelers or the normal Indian travelers. No, it's normal only open for all German and EU nationals, for all German and EU residents. That if an Indian who has a resident permit there, and then to our understanding, also those who want to go on transit and have a residence in the US, there's a misunderstanding, a little bit a conflict with India. But all these flights go on to basically get their permissions, if you're lucky, 4 days ahead, 3 days ahead. And it's very unsatisfactory. But to Europe, the only flights to get so far at the moment from Mumbai out is 3 flights, which come on short notice. And also have to say KLM and Air Force were also able to offer flights back home. And we all know basically industries cannot come back to its feet without experts. We have many requests from viewer circles from German companies. When can we bring back Indians who are working for us back home in Germany? When can we bring back to India German experts who are very urgently needed and are necessary to restart our business? That is something which we are working on, and there are still a lot of question marks, because we, for the time being, be restricting traveling, while the Indians did something else. They basically suspended or cancelled all the existing visas for many people who have been traveling. So it means, and most of the headache what we're facing today is that when families have been getting outside, also when we can take over for diplomats, the dependents or the spouses are not allowed to come back. Their visa basically is void and nil, and you have to reapply. This is, in a way, it's not acceptable. We have to pick this up about reciprocity, and this is also causing questions also from your industries. And I understand they have families here. Also, I myself, I don't dare to go home or even one of these flights, because if I want to return on my job, I don't know if my wife will come back or not. This is the same situation, which is against all international regulations, also for diplomats. But we have to work on this on a daily basis. And as you all know, not only what I'm talking now about is travel restrictions, everything is a changing goalpost. All the regulation directives are changing goalposts. I'm only mentioning this part, but of course in your industries, everything is also a changing goalpost. And our main job together with the chamber is we will continue to monitor all this and try to understand and help to sort out also in your interest if there are any questions with government officials, how to proceed and get the right interpretation or help, because in this time of a crisis, not everything has been thoroughly thought through. But I'm now already way too long, but please come back to me and if you have questions later on. And now I would like, of course, to give the floor to our speakers.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Morhat. I mean, for giving us an update on the travel and visa situation and on also how are things going on in Germany. It is now time to introduce our panelists for today. We have with us Philip Money, the Managing Director of Schmalz India. It's a German SME with a manufacturing facility in Pune. Anand Srinivasan, Managing Director of Covestro India Private Limited. Covestro is a German MNC with several offices and manufacturing sites across India. And last but not least, I'm very happy to introduce our second Jürgen of today, Jürgen Wolf, Managing Director of the Hefele Group in South Asia. Hefele has no manufacturing sites in India, but operates through over 100 franchisees across the country. I request each panelist to say a few words about the company and its activities in India. Please then share your experiences and challenges in restoring operations, including safety measures and support for your staff. We will have a question and answer session after the three presentations. Please make use of the opportunity to ask questions to the panelists and also Dr. Morhat. If time does not permit to answer all questions, we will get back to each and every one after the webinar. I would now like to ask Jürgen Wolf to give us his thoughts. Jürgen, please.
Well, yes, thank you very much, Peter, for the introduction. So good morning, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, rather. We're into it now. As Peter said quite rightly, Hefele is not a manufacturer. It makes us a little different from most of the other German companies here in India. We are a sales and marketing supply chain company, and we have, as Peter said quite rightly, a very strong network of trade partners, franchisees, and trade outlets, if you want, in the country, which on the 25th of March were pretty much all, with one swipe closed down, and our business stopped entirely. Not just the shops, but also of course, our supply chain. We have 4 warehouses here in India, and they were closed down as well overnight, and we were no longer able to actually supply the market. So a very difficult situation. What did we do? We were a little lucky because prior to the lockdown, we had actually renovated our head office, and as a result of that, a lot of people had already been working from home. So we had invested in our IT infrastructure, and we were able to put people into working from home situations very quickly and with relatively few problems. The only 2 problems really that you get there are, either the equipment isn't right or your connectivity at home is not great. But we were actually able to overcome all these issues and have been working surprisingly successfully from home over the last few months, which has helped us an awful lot. Just to give you an idea about the strength of the company, we are employing directly on the roll and off the roll about 1,300 people. So there's a lot of people to keep busy. So what do we do for them? Luckily, we have a very strong training department, and they were able to develop very quickly a number of training modules into all directions, whether that's product, soft skills, financial modules, etc., so that we had something to offer our employees to help them upskill themselves, because we wanted to take the opportunity to make sure that all the things that we don't normally find time for were actually done this time, and that everybody emerged from this at least more competent than they were before. And then, very important, not to forget our customers, of course. We have thousands of customers out there, and we wanted to offer them something as well, and we put together a lot of learning activities for them as well. And we've been holding a whole chain of seminars now over the last few months for all kinds of different customer groups, whether that's manufacturers, furniture manufacturers, interior designers, architects, and builders as well. Our marketing activities went 100% online, and I think this has been another really interesting change through COVID, because I think a lot of companies have been experimenting with online marketing, and some share of their marketing spend probably went in that direction over the last 3 years. But to go there literally exclusively is, of course, a very big change. And we are in the middle of changing the entire marketing campaign that we have and putting it predominantly online. And we have been trying out a lot of things on our social media channels. We have, of course, have the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and so on. And we've been very active on that, putting together a lot of activities for our customers and for our own employees as well. Some of you may know we have a marketing partnership with Bayern Munich here in India, and as Bayern Munich had two events that were outstanding, and one is that they are celebrating their 120th anniversary, so we've been celebrating that together with them, and of course they went back to play football. So that's a very important event, because the German league was the first league to go back online, and we were accompanying that with Bayern Munich, our partner, and so far they haven't let us down. They've won everything they've played. So very active online. It's been a real eye opener what is possible. It was a real eye opener how many people we were actually able to reach through all these activities, and we will certainly strengthen our online presence now in the future as well through more e-commerce activities and so on. Apart from that, of course, we kept working all the time. So there were many projects that were defined by our managers for our teams, not just the upskilling, but things that we always wanted to finish and never got time for. We are working a lot on digitalization generally for the company, and in creating a digitalization vision for the company. So that has progressed really well. And overall, I must say the work from home experience was very positive, and I see a lot of teams in the organization maybe continuing this, if not on a permanent, then certainly on a semi-permanent basis also in the future. So now, as we are coming back, what are we doing? So the offices, I must say straight up, remain closed. And the reason for that is basically that the government has given us so many rules and regulations what we need to do when we are in the office, that we worked out that it would cost us like 25 lakhs over and above the normal expenses just for COVID related expenses to run the office. And then we couldn't even have a meeting. So now we said, well, if you can't have a meeting, what's the point of going back to the office? Then we can just as well do this through Zoom or Skype or whatever, and talk that way, which is working very well. So until we really have the opportunity to interact with each other in the future, I don't see us go back to the office, certainly not before July. But of course, our shops are opening. So we have 10 Hafele-owned design centers in India that have now opened step by step. The ones that opened first were the ones in the south of India, Karnataka, and in Telangana, in Hyderabad, Chennai a little later, and then Delhi, and now finally, since this week, also Mumbai, even though nobody's actually come to see us yet. And we're still waiting for customers to come and visit us. So difficult situation. Of course, what we do in terms of ensuring that our customers are safe is the standard protocols that I think everybody is now going through in terms of disinfection, sanitization, gloves, masks, rules how to interact while distancing, and so on. And that is all in place. Our customers are asked also not to just roll up, but to actually try and make an appointment so that we can give them the full attention and prepare for their visit as well. Because we want to make sure that everybody's safe, our employees as well as our customers. If one of our employees now gets sick, we have to close down the whole shop again, and then everything comes to a standstill. Now, luckily, the rules are getting a little bit relaxed, When there was a positive case previously, we would have had to close down for 2 weeks. That's come down to 2 days now for basically disinfection of the premises, and we can then continue from there onwards. And that is also what we're following for the time being. And then, of course, we have put protocols in place for our employees in terms of how they need to behave when they don't feel well, or they know that they have been infected, or a family member has been infected, so that we know what to do in those cases in terms of quarantining, testing, what to do, how to return to the office as well, with more testing going on, and so on. We've had, just for your information, amongst our direct employees, we had only 1 positive case so far, knock on wood. However, unfortunately, we had 2 COVID-related deaths in the families of our employees. One father died in Delhi, and another one in Dhaka, which is very, very sad. And of course, that doesn't help lift the spirits of everyone. Having talked about spirits, one of the things that we offered our employees relatively quickly was psychological support, because you know, we all know that you know, with joint families living on relatively small spaces, with maybe small children and the parents and everything else, it can get a little difficult to keep it together. And then if you're also supposed to work from home and supposed to deliver, that's not an easy thing to do. So there's a lot of emotional stress on our employees and their families as well. So we have actually provided them with an external facility where they can call anonymously and talk to a fully qualified psychiatrist, and so basically talk whatever is on their soul through and try and find a resolution. So this is a free facility for all our employees that we have instituted, and it's been taken up more often than I'd like to admit, but it has been difficult times, and of course it has been a very long time. We are now I'm now in my 12th week actually of quarantine, and it's not easy to keep it always together. We're only human, and we must make sure that we understand that with our employees as well. So now, other things, what I'm talking about HR that we've done for the employees is that we've taken out COVID related insurance for them. So this is a special insurance that takes over the cost for treatment if somebody gets sick. We have not terminated anyone, and that is also our biggest objective. We want to make sure that ultimately all the jobs are safe. However, we had to take away increments, incentives, and even some salary, which we have reduced from June onwards to be able to get through the crisis. The problem is we've had no income, and we've had to pay salaries and benefits for all employees for March, April, and most of May. So it's getting a little tight for us as well. So coming back, I'm almost done here now, to our reopening. We are doing a lot of things also for our customers because they are also in deep trouble. So we have provided a financial loan facility to our dealers now through one of the major banks, which provides loans without collateral. And also that was necessary because they don't fall under the SME schemes that the government is offering, because that's mainly for manufacturers. We have opened and set up social media accounts for all our franchisees on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That was a good opportunity to get them all online. And we are absorbing the cost of managing their accounts now until the end of the year to get them up and rolling. So we want to make sure that we can drive some traffic to their shops and get customers back in. So that's it, essentially, in terms of where we are coming from and what we are doing. Thank you for the opportunity, letting explain that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jürgen, for sharing your experiences and thoughts. And I'm very sorry to hear about the deaths in the extended family of your team. Well, I thought it was particularly interesting or important. You mentioned that you're staying in touch with your customers, with your staff. You're using the time for activities which you were otherwise not able to focus on and complete those tasks. I think setting up social media accounts for your franchisees and managing them, and even assisting in financial assistance, I think is also a very good idea. And I like particularly also the point of taking an appointment, because then you're in control of who comes to your site. I mean, this is something which I'm definitely also not going to forget. And the counseling facility is I think also something which is worthwhile thinking and to implement it. Well, thank you for that. I would now like to request Anand Srinivasan of Covestro. Anand, can you please share your thoughts?
Thank you, Peter. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks to IGCC for this opportunity to connect to everyone. Sana, can we have slides, please? And first is a quick video, and then I share my thoughts through slides.
Where others see limits, we see opportunities and give shape to bright ideas. Transforming CO2 into living comfort. Reaching new dimensions in 3D printing. Saving energy and water to create more sustainable fashion.
Are we having the video first?
Outperforming metal with plastic composites. Elevating design and function for future mobility. Where others say you can't, we say, why not? Curious, courageous, and colorful. Together with customers and partners, we are pushing boundaries to make the world a brighter place.
Peter, do we see something on the screen? Because I do not see the video yet.
Anand, the video has already passed. You may please start with the presentation.
Panelist in a Veranstaltung.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you, because I missed seeing the video. So we can go to the first slide, please. Sana, can we go into the first slide? Okay, great. For those of you who do not know Covestro, we were Bayer before, the German Bayer company. And 5 years ago, we moved out to be Covestro and stand by ourselves. A quick introduction was done in the video, but Covestro stands for collaboration, investment, and strength. We believe we are very strongly connected with our partners. In India, we are located at multiple locations. One is Tamil Nadu, that's Cuddalore. Then we have Ankleshwar in Gujarat. And then we have Greater Noida in Uttar Pradesh. Our headquarters is in Navi Mumbai, Airoli, which is in Mumbai. Yeah. Going over with the number of people we have about 400 people. Half of them are in production and half of them are as corporate office in Mumbai. So we have really had an interesting time with this whole sort of COVID. And I take you quickly to 2 or 3 slides, what was our priority. And very clearly at Covestro, just like Dr. Mohat said, we are very clear. I think the safety and security of our employees is been always the first in anything we do. And even in these challenging times, we continue to ensure that all our employees are safe. So knock on wood, as of today, all our employees are safe. Nobody is exposed to the pandemic. People are taking care. And also when at the lockdown period, even before the lockdown started, the corporate office, we made decisions, the management committee made decisions to start the concept of working from home. So we took some care even before the government had their lockdown implications onto everybody in the country. Then once the lockdown happened for manufacturing sites, then we were all down as of end of March. So at our sites, people were asked to leave and be home, of course, with just 2 or 3 security guards taking care of it, until we actually started up, in pieces and staggered motions. We started with Ankleshwar first, and then we moved on to Greater Noida, and then we moved on to Cuddalore. The latest, we also opened up our lab facility for our coatings in Airoli, Navi Mumbai. So if we go to the next slide, I'll give you more information. Like I said, safety and security was the first, and with that also comes the engagement with our employees. Being leaders, I think it's the most important part comes with empathizing with employees during this time. Very similar to Hafele, Mr. Wolf indicated, Covestro also has the employee assistance program, insurance to manage health benefits of our employees. There have been no terminations, very similar to Hafele. But some other things that we actually did during this time was, global connection with leaders and colleagues all over the world, and then also set up a series of talks called Reflections, where myself and some of my management committee connected with each and every employee on a weekly basis in teams, in groups. And this was really good. It was not talking about business, but it was talking about personal care, what they feel, introspection. Are they exercising? Are they eating enough? Are they able to take care of their, elderly folks at home? Are they able to take care of the kids? So very good discussions, and I think I can only say the team has come much closer together, even though we are physically apart. So we've used this time very smartly to bring everyone together. Lots of programs with our senior leaders, including our CEO from Germany, joining, talking to us, basically motivating us and telling us that we will get out of this someday. So stay calm, stay focused. We understand the anxiety, but we're all this together, and we will get out of it. Yeah. And the second most important part, if we move to the next slide, is customer centricity. After safety of employees, we come to our customers. Covestro, we always believed, the customer is the most important person for us in terms of what we do on a regular basis with partnership. So we've continuously been engaging with customers on a weekly basis. We've also been running some webinars for them, some training programs for them to be connected with customers. Myself, on a weekly basis, I touch base with many customers just to check if they're okay on the family level, and also if their plants and manufacturing facilities are being taken care of. The one good thing I really enjoyed in doing this was when I was talking to multiple customers, it was good to see that almost all of our customers were taking exceptional care of their employees, and also making sure that all the facilities were following all of the regulations that the authorities were telling us to do. And that gave me much pleasure, and it really gives you satisfaction when it's not that only we are doing this, but all the people who are working with us are also doing this. Yeah, and it also gives all the more motivation for us to go ahead and really work with these customers. The two quick examples which we had also was one of our customers needed our material during the lockdown for essential products because it's used as an adhesive for food packaging. So we got permission from the Gujarat authorities. We made sure our plant was restarted in advance, even before the lockdown was lifted, so that we can really supply this material and make sure that we can really bring something, to the country and to the industry. If many of you know, our vision is to make the world a brighter place. We strongly believe we can do much in India to make it brighter in every way. Another example was a requirement for our polycarbonate material from one of our German customers, global German customers, who manufacture medical devices. Even there, we made sure that we used all the permissions they had and connected with our local authorities, and they were able to give us the permission to start up in Greater Noida. So in there, we were able to supply to our customers and make sure that their customers in turn were able to receive material on time, especially since it was a health topic. So with that, all of our sites are actually operational. However, we are operating with minimal staff. We have only about 40 people in Greater Noida right now. Then we have about 35 in Ankleshwar and about 20 in Cuddalore. In our Mumbai office, all colleagues are working from home. They will continue working from home for quite some time. Just the lab is open because the lab guys cannot work from home. So we have 4 people in the lab and they're doing fine. We have all of the requirements that are needed. And, so far, things are going okay. Covestro is very clear. We connect with customers only on digital media as of now. We are not hosting any customers on any of our sites or any of our offices. It's basically to ensure their safety and our safety, together. Again, another topic, just like a we already had a lot of projects going on with digitization. We believe that this whole pandemic has really given us an opportunity to even further improve ourselves in terms of connecting with different people around the world with digital media. It just so happened that we had some internal IT infrastructure upgrades, and this decision was taken in early March. So we had new softwares, and just when we went into lockdown, we were able to connect very easily with everybody in the globe. So that way, we have really made our employees feel that they're still part of the whole team, even though they are staying at home. Again, just to summarize quickly, we made sure that safety of our employees is first, customer is the next. We did have some challenges in terms of getting our permits. We got the permits to start our units. However, we did not receive permits to be able to bring our employees to work and take them back home. So here is a classic situation where the authorities work in silos, and one authority says, yes, go ahead, produce, but to produce we need people. And the other authority says you cannot bring the people because they are in containment zones. So we had many of our employees, volunteer, take their own car, bring one employee with a mask and all of the PPE, but bring one employee to work, drop him back. And then we had employees come by their own transportation when they could leave their home safely. There's a lot of things that we had to make changes with, right from food in the canteen to water to snacks, to make sure that everything is sanitized, social distancing. We call it the new normal, like everybody does. And now we believe going forward, this is a very good learning for us, and we will continue this way for quite some time. Of course, the challenge is when things like this go on for a long time. How do we make sure that we are ready for the ramp up? And we see the ramp up coming slowly, but surely. Similarly, we ramped up. We started with 10 or 20%. We are at 30% now. We believe we can go up to 40% in June and July. And we're looking to more than 70% in August, just based on the situation today. And that way, Covestro is committed to the market to make sure we can really supply especially material that is needed for people to lead a better life. That's my quick summary of my experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anand, for sharing. I think again, what you pointed out is what is important is the continued engagement with employees and customers. Again, I like the reaching out and staying in touch with the employees at all times, even through counseling and giving tips on how to lose weight or not to gain weight. And I think the motto of all you said, and I think this can be a motto for everyone, is in these times, come closer, though you're physically apart. I like that. Thank you very much, Anand. Now, Mani, please, can I request you to share your thoughts? And then I think we're again going to have a video. I hope that happens and without too much technical problems.
Good afternoon, everybody. Myself, Philip Mani, Managing Director of Schmalz, India. Schmalz is a Mittelstand company based out of Germany. We are based here in India at Bosri. We have about 140 employees in the company, and we are mainly, our customer base is mainly almost all kinds of customers, from packaging to pharma to automotive. We cater to all kinds of companies. So initially, when there was the lockdown, we had to stop all the operations, and it was since it was a sudden lockdown, it was a little bit difficult to understand what are the steps to do. So it took us some time to really digest the fact of lockdown and what next to do. But shortly, we also got the permission to start manufacturing with at least 10% employees, since we also provide services to all the essential companies. As I mentioned, packaging, so pharma, all the machinery is also using our consumables. So therefore, it was required that we provide them the services. Having started with 10% of the employees, it was clear that traveling is not a solution. So we provided them beds, etc., inside the company, so that they can stay inside there and work, and so they are also feeling more safer to work rather than keep traveling from outside. But it was, of course, a challenge to organize food, organize beds during this lockdown time. However, thanks to our employees, they were able to source some known shopkeepers, etc., who also helped us in setting up this whole process. Later, by the time of the second lockdown, we were given almost 30% permission to 33% of employees to work. So that was also a boon, and we still concentrated only on the production and not on the remaining staff, but to have more people in the production so that the production process works. We also had this vehicle permit approved, and therefore we found a way, that is, since though it is produced, but then there is also inspection to be done, and then only you can really pack it and send it, while Germany was still in operation. And we had to ship goods to them, since they supply to all the rest of the world from our production facility. So it was the only production facility, so the dependency was much higher. So we then found a way, that is, we started to send some goods through this transport back to the homes of employees. We also set up a table, workbench for them in their homes with a magnifying glass, etc., so that they could do the physical work at home. And this way we managed some nearby to the company employees, where we started to do the work. So we were able to still ship out some goods even during the lockdown, which was really a good thing which happened. Further, coming on the sales front, we made sure that we were in touch with all the employees over video conferencing, because it is also new for them to be alone, or rather isolated from the rest of the people without talking to them, and still be able to work. So in order to motivate them also, and plus to make sure that everybody knows what is the situation of each other, which helps them to pacify each other and also to feel good to work from home. And we continued working over virtual meetings. Plus, what we also did, like Mr. Wolf said, that we also did a lot of trainings, of course, internally for our employees, plus we did mass trainings to people from India. So we in fact had also one training where we had more than 1,300 registrations all over India. And so we try to teach vacuum knowledge to them, basics, and also vacuum handling systems, how to really calculate, etc. This was really good for many of them to learn this subject. Having done all this, all the employees also were quite became knowledgeable, more knowledge on the virtual side, and of course a lot of marketing activities, like Mr. Wolf said, we also started doing all this online. Sana, can you please shift to the next slide? Coming to the safety plan, when we completely had to restart, what we did was, of course, we also put health and safety first for the employees, and also at the same time for our customers during such a COVID time, because you need to also ship goods to them and they need to feel the goods are safe to be handled. Next slide, Sana. So we first made a core team which makes the decisions of what all is required, what kind of safety is required, and how it has to be documented or how it has to be maintained in the company. Plus, we made also a maintenance team in each of the areas, so that they are able to ensure that the people are following these processes. Next slide, Sana. Yeah. So while the employees are entering into the company, everybody who enters has to sanitize their hands, and after which there is a temperature check, and we record the same. In fact, over a period of after another week, now what we have done is we have increased the time of temperature check, in the sense that we also do 2 times in between the shifts, also a temperature check, and record if the temperature is fluctuating during the day, so that we can identify more faster. Then we also made markings on the floor so that people are maintaining the social distancing. And of course, the bus which is coming also is being disinfected. So employees wear gloves, they also wear a shield and also a mask. Next slide, Sana. Yeah. Visitors, when they come into the company, we also provide them gloves, so that they are, we ensure that they are also not infecting any of the areas inside the company to feel safe. Of course, visitors without coming here without a mask by themselves are not allowed to enter into the company. That's a strict rule at the company. And they are also checked for temperature, and they also have to fill in a self-declaration form of activities they have been doing in the last 15 days. Next slide. Even during the shop floor meetings, we make sure that the social distancing is maintained, and also the employees are given masks, etc., while working also. One of the important things which we did was partition into zones. Since we have about 17 machines, and we said that, okay, if all the machines are in one zone, and if there is somebody detected of COVID, then we rather will have to close down the whole 17 machines. So we try to create a temporary partition inside the company to make sure that employees from this side of the zone are not really interacting with the other side zone people. Next slide, Sana. Yeah. We are also disinfecting offices and all the areas, including the production area. We do this 2 times a day inside the production area, while in the office every day in the evening after all the employees leave, the disinfection is done. Further, next slide. Yeah. During the meetings, all the meeting rooms, we have removed the extra chairs, and we made sure that only the number of people that we want them to sit there with social distancing are being placed. That is one of the major thing which we did inside the meeting rooms. And also employees must wear face shield and mask during meetings, so that actually the advantage of wearing a face shield, which I would like to say, is that while talking, people, many of them normally feel very suffocated because of the mask continuously to wear. And therefore, With the face shield, you could always lower your mask while speaking. That is a big advantage of having a face shield with employees. Next slide. Yeah. It is a must that every employee, if he's leaving his desk, he has to wear gloves, he also has to wear a mask, and he also has to wear a face shield while he moves out of his desk. This is as a must rule. We have kept it so that they are able to really interact with people, and the other people also feel safe to talk to them in case they are met with other employees while they are walking around. Next slide. Even the canteen, we made the social distancing. We also removed all the extra chairs, and we split the lunch time so that the number of people coming are also limited. After this picture, actually, we had also further done it. That is, we made even the canteen, we have split it into zones. So even the tables of zone 1 employees are not used by zone 2 employees, for example. Next slide. We provided the necessary equipment so that employees can clean their own tables. This was also necessary because we did not want that the employee feels that somebody is touching their table, so that they feel more safer while working. We said that you clean your own tables, and also pick their own coffee or wash their own mugs or plates, and also fill in water for themselves. Also is done by themselves itself, doing their own jobs. Next slide. Further, what I recommend to everybody is that wherever, of course, we all have doors which are security controlled, but during this pandemic time, I would recommend that whichever doors you can keep them open by default, then rather leave them open. That would be the better way, wherein people are not touching doors unnecessarily. We also provided clamps to these doors so that it is easier to open with their wrist instead of opening it with their hands in all the areas. We also loosened all the auto locking of the doors so that it is easy to open, since we are now opening with our wrists. That was also an action done. Next slide. Further, for the taps also to use, we use the wrist like shown in the picture. Rather the arm like shown in the picture for opening the tap or closing the tap, etc. So we modified all the taps in the whole company. Next slide. Now this was mainly for customers, where we wanted to make sure that all the incoming goods are also being disinfected, and also the outgoing goods are also disinfected. And while doing this, the person must wear gloves, mask, and shield. While in these pictures, he's not wearing a mask because this was pictures taken at the start. Later on, we received also the masks, and now they use masks also. Next slide. Yeah. Even though we are inside the office, we said that though we have meeting rooms, we do not do meetings in the rooms. Instead of that, we rather do them virtually. And this really helps in ensuring that employees are not really doing meetings together in a very great frequency. So unless it is really very important where employee has to sit together, till then it is not done. Next slide. Coming to documents, there is a lot of invoices, etc., coming into the company, and we said the sharing of these documents, people are moving from one department to another, and so we restricted that too by saying everybody sends the documents by scan and stores the documents with him. This way, the movement of employees to each other's desks or tables or rooms is also avoided. Next slide. Coming almost to the end of this presentation here, we normally have about 500 visits in a year for a salesman to make visits with customers. Then we said what to do about this, because we already lost 2 months, and even the next few months, it could be that the customer is not interested in meeting us, or it is difficult for us also to travel to their places. And therefore we said that, okay, we shuffle it, and we said we just make it half-half of virtual meetings and only half as meetings which you should do personally, where it is really necessary and where the customer is willing to do. So most of the meetings are shifted to virtual meetings, and we still count those as our visits to customers. Next slide. I would like to also add a little bit. This was more about our safety aspects, but looking into the future, where manufacturing industries are going to face problems also because we have manpower in the company. I would say that the manufacturing sector needs to upgrade their automation. Today we have about 4 robots per 10,000 employees in India, while developed companies have more than 500 robots per 10,000 employees. So we have a long way to go, and by increasing our automation level in our factories, your dependency on human labor also reduces, helping to cope with such situations in the future. Automation will be a key component of the effort to revive domestic manufacturing, while previous offshore trends was fueled by the race to the bottom in terms of labor and productivity costs. Again, in the past years, you can see that advances in artificial intelligence and IoT technologies have embedded tremendous efficiencies in predictability, capacity, availability, and flexibility of supply chain and manufacturing operations. Companies that have embraced these technologies early are already seeing 7% revenue growth advantage over their peers during this time. Manufacturing still requires people to be physically on site. Operators run machines, maintenance staff maintain and repair machines. External vendors and contractors are also needed on site. With social distancing measures in place, manufacturers may lose up to 50% of their on-site personnel. As manufacturers, we all face this dilemma. We will see remote diagnostic management and collaboration tools. This will result in emergence of a virtual shift. When I say virtual shift here, I mean to say that a team of specialists connected remotely and constantly online in order to guide and support the reduced physical shift of on-site personnel. So
I'm sorry, and we want to do some questions also. Is it okay? Can we end here?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you very much. Actually, on seeing your presentation, I was reminded how much I miss traveling to Pune. Well, I guess in a few weeks' time that I can do that again. Also, providing additional equipment to make work from home more efficient is something which is important. And it's also good to partition, like partitioning your production process and continue that during lunch. And obviously keeping doors open is something that my daughters already do very well. So I guess, but still in the offices, that might be, wherever possible, might be useful advice. So I would now like to give Sana and Monas the floor to handle our questions, please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Doibert. Thank you, panelists. We definitely have time for at least one question each. We've not received so many, but we still have a few. So for each of the companies, I have selected one question for you all. Perhaps we could address that and start with Mr. Wolf. Mr. Wolf? Yeah, super. Most of your workforce has accepted the digital reality and work from home norms since your company is a trading and marketing company. What is the trend that you are foreseeing going forward? What is going to be the new normal?
Yeah, so listen, first of all, I hate this term, the new normal, right? Because nobody knows what that is. You know, of course, certain things will change and certain things will stay with us, but trust me, once a vaccine has been found, we will go back to how we were, and we will be physical again, we will be social again, and I don't think it is going to change our experience so much. But when it comes to digital, of course, a lot of what is happening has been happening over the last 3 months is going to stay with us. There's no question about it. I'm the best example. I had never Skyped before COVID. I had Skype on my computer, but never used it. And all of a sudden I had to. And now I'm not only Skyping, I'm Zooming and I'm Googling, and I'm all over the place. With connections all over the world. I had a video call yesterday between America, the UK, and India, and it was like we were in the same room. It was amazing. So these things will definitely stay with us, and they will facilitate working from home, because people are now, I think, convinced that they can connect effectively and not lose too much in the translation, being in a different location. So
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sorry. Very quickly, the other one is, of course, marketing. I mentioned that earlier. A lot of the marketing will go online. There's no question for me, as we have seen that we can reach enormous amounts of people through online activities. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wolf. I just want to tell you, you are not the only one who is there alone, who's had a first Skype call or a first team meeting or a Zoom call. But having said that, thank you very much. Moving on to Mr. Srinivasan. Your question is here. Have you been testing in any way everyone who visits your workplace? How do you monitor, report, and take action on those displaying symptoms?
Okay, thanks. Can you hear me, Sana?
Yes.
Manal, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes,
okay,
you're
thanks,
audible.
Thanks for your question. Yes, initially we did, once we started up the facility, we did some random testing, sampling. We made sure, first of all, before doing the testing, we made sure that we checked each of our employees with their history, whether they were traveling 14 days prior or not before they entered the factory premises. We also encourage them to use the Arogya Setu, the government app, to make sure that anything is traceable. Physical testing is done on a daily basis, more than once a day. But we also tested and swapped about 26 employees randomly to make sure that everybody is clear and shows negative. We also make sure that since we have a doctor on site, we make sure that any symptoms from any employee or their relatives at home of a cold or cough, the doctor knows, and accordingly he gives them go to come to work. We are continuing this on a regular basis, and we hope to continue this until we are clear from this pandemic.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Srinivasan. The next question is for Mr. Mani. Mr. Mani, any resistance faced from the employees when returning to the workplace, and what kind of assurances were they seeking?
Okay, Munaz, mainly the fear of getting in contact with someone with COVID is the main reason why people are really resisting on. So that is the reason why I, in my presentation, mentioned a lot of things which actually the person is put to his own, even when he comes into the company. So apart from the standard tests of temperature, etc., we also additionally put in that even your table you clean yourself, even your coffee you bring yourself. You are not really interacting with people, you're not touching people, you're not going to anybody. Also trying to avoid even documents coming into their rooms. So even those are avoided, mainly the accounts. If you say there are a lot of documents passing from the accounts department to the stores department, etc. So there also we put scanners and we said, okay, you just send it by scan. So these kind of activities where the employee feels that, okay, he doesn't really, when he comes into the company also, he's on his own, he knows exactly what to do, and he has his own desk and he's doing his job and just leaving. So there you find that isolation still there inside the company also, though you are with the rest of the people, but then they do feel safe, much safer than etc. But additionally, I would like to also say that many of the workers, yes, they come from smaller homes or etc., in which are very close by to each other, etc., in the nearby areas. So we also took the initiative that we disinfect all their homes. So we sent the necessary chemicals to disinfect all their homes, and that also gives them a sense of more safety. When they are traveling here to the office, it's completely disinfected, and also at their homes are also disinfected. That gives a little bit of more sense, I believe. But still, to end it, I would say that we still lost quite a lot of employees who were like apprentices, etc., who went back to their hometowns, have not returned. We tried contacting them. We have tried to bring them back, but it has not been possible till now. So that is one of the lacking points which is for running the company at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. That was very reassuring to hear that you have gone even out of the comfort zone to sanitize and to disinfect their homes. The last question is more of a general one, which is actually addressed to all three companies. Perhaps any of you who would like to take it up. Are there insurance companies offering COVID-related insurances? If yes, have any of you all contacted them? I leave this open to the panel.
If I may answer this, yes, there are insurance companies allowing for COVID. This was happening just before starting the COVID lockdown in India. So we had taken this for all the employees, but the insurance starts only after a person is detected of COVID. Until then, it is not really applicable at all, since the standard insurances that we have does not cover COVID at all. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. I can confirm this. As I said earlier, we also took out this special COVID health insurance for our employees. But it's correct. It only pays, of course, if you have tested positive. So not for other symptoms and everything else. And I think it also only just you need to be hospitalized to actually be able to avail of it. So it is mainly to protect our employees from large expenses if they have to, for instance, go on a ventilator or be treated with oxygen for a prolonged period of time or go into ICU.
Thank you.
Manoj, similar for us, we also have taken the same thing, and we've done it for our employees and their spouses at this time. We're still deciding if we need to do it for the families, but employees and spouses are covered part of the COVID insurance.
Thank you, panelists. However, with this, our short, nevertheless significant question and answer comes to an end. Mr. Doibert, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Note now. Well, I thank you all personally for registering and attending today's webinar. A big thank you to Dr. Mohat for participating and for always giving his valuable support. And of course, a big thank you to all panelists of today who shared the valuable insights and experiences and gave a lot of good tips. I mean, I have learned a lot today. Last but not least, I would like to thank the webinar team at IGCC, namely Monas and Sana, for their untiring efforts and enthusiasm for putting together yet another webinar. We have recorded today's session and every participant will be sent a link. Please regularly check our websites for upcoming events. Let's come closer, though we are physically apart. Dear members and partners, I hope you found today's webinar as interesting as I did. Please stay in touch and contact us if you require assistance. We are there to help. Have a nice day. Cheers and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.